Welcome to the Ice Cave. It is Final Fantasy Reconstructed. This is a beta release of this new Romhack under development here in 2016. We have completed the first two parts of the mid-game trio, or the mid-game troika of dungeons. We've finished the Castle of Ordeals. We have finished the Gurgu Volcano, and now we need to go into the Ice Cave to pick up the floater in order to get our airship and continue on to the northern continent. The Ice Cave in the vanilla version is one of the more difficult and more frustrating dungeons of the game because there are a number of enemies that have instant killing abilities down here in the Ice Cave. You've got some sorcerer enemies are the most notable instant killers. They have the death-touch ability. There's also other nasties down here. There's large groups of undead down here that if they hit you with the back attack, they can just stun lock you and plink you till you're gone. Here's a couple of those undead battles, so it's very important that we deal as much damage to all of them as we can. And that area of effect damage is critical. So we have the Zeus Gauntlet picked up from the Castle of Ordeals, and the Cleric Hammer, which is a new weapon to this hack, which we picked up way back in the Marsh Cave, which lets us cast Harm 1 on everybody. Unfortunately, these guys are not weak to the lightning damage, but the combination of the Cleric Hammer and Zeus Gauntlet is able to do enough damage to take out most of them. So luckily, these undead battles here, as long as they can't fire off their abilities to stun on our mages in the first round, we're generally going to be okay. The design of this ice cave, like most of the caves and dungeons here in this Final Fantasy Reconstructed hack, has been brightened. It seems like it's much more light in here than before. This is a new enemy here for this hack. It shares a sprite shape with Garland, but a slightly different color pattern. And it has the ability to cast the Kill spell, which I'm not quite sure I know which spell that is. It could be Rub, or it could be changed from another spell from later on. It appears to have the same effect as Rub, which just lands and kills a character. Thankfully, it missed that time on my fighter up there. So with this ice cave, it's got more human-looking things happening in there. More tables and chairs and counters and sword signs on the wall. But it's just overall a little bit more pleasing, I think, to look at. The ice cave in the NES version is very dark. It's very dark blues and purples. It's also a very easy dungeon in which to get lost. It's one that can sometimes be hard to find your way around a little bit, and it's meant to be a little bit of a maze. Here we have some damaged floors, damaged tiles. So the sound you can hear there is me taking some damage. And we have what looks like a sprite-initiated encounter protecting a chest up there. So we're going to get healed up here. But as long as I have that heal staff, I have very little to worry about from damaged floors, as you saw in the Gurgu Volcano video. The Frost Dragon is it is an enemy that can pop up, I believe, in the vanilla version in the Ice Cave here. So it's not totally unfamiliar. And I do have some charges of the upper level ice spells, and thankfully it's not hitting us with the Blizzard right away. Its Blizzard is an all-targeting ice elemental attack that's very nasty, and I got good luck there. Mostly it was luck with turn order that I had my two high damaging characters attack right away in sequence. So there is the ice sword for me. Although I believe that is a repeat of an ice sword that I had already picked up in the Castle of Ordeals. Remember, in the narrative of this game, you're probably supposed to do this cave before you go up to the northern continent at all to do the Castle of Ordeals. But because that castle has some very good pieces of treasure in it, most notably the heal staff and the Zeus Gauntlet, it's worth it for me to go up there. Here's another very, very dangerous kind of battle. That is if these guys behave any way like they do in the vanilla version with their nasty spells, including, I believe, Rub. Here's a strike first, so I will take the opportunity to fight this battle because I do need to pick up as many levels as I can because I would like to see those 8th level spells in action. I have no intentions of leveling up to the level cap, which would be pretty scary if I had to work that hard to get through this hack. But I would like to see those upper level spells in action, and I would like the final few dungeon videos to be kind of smooth dungeon crawls, as I like to do with these. So I go through intentionally a little bit over level just so that the videos don't turn into long slugfests. We have more of the bridge tiles. Here, we have more of those bridge tiles. Seems to be a common theme. Now this looks very familiar, except for the sprite for where the eye sits. In the vanilla version, this chest up here on the upper right side is protected by one of these nasty wizard-type enemies. And in the vanilla version, it has a very trolly piece of equipment in it. I think it has just a cloth armor in it in the vanilla version. So I totally ignore it when I go through this in the NES release of this game. But here I'm going to see what's up here, and it is indeed still a piece of cloth armor. So that's a little bit of a... I'm just going to drop it, just going to get rid of it. That is a little bit of an intentional slap in the face from our friends at Squaresoft. That's a make no bones about it. We are going to put a difficult battle that has a chance to instant kill some of your characters in front of a chest. And in that chest will be a cloth armor. Yikes. So more groups of undead. Thankfully, we have not been getting crushed by the undead as much. These ones haven't been hitting us with that. I think it's because these ones, and I'm trying to make a note of which ones. This has a better piece of treasure in it, the flame sword. And in the NES version, this undead trap square still exists. So when you fall down one of those holes, you go to a different floor in the dungeon, and then there is a trap square from those holes. Now, all those holes in the vanilla version lead to the same place. So when you walk over any of those holes, you'll always end up at that spot in front of this battle with undead. And if you do have a few white mages, you can use this trap square to do some grinding, because it is a safe-ish battle to fight over and over again with these large groups of enemies. So I'm going to pop over here and collect this chest. Although, again, normally in an NES version run, I am just trying to get to that floater and get the heck out of Dodge. This is another, clearly seems to me to be a trapped square with 2 frost dragons. So this one will really be worth Fire 3. So that's healthy damage, and the X-Ice is going to about quarter, so reduce to about 25% the effectivity of both of these blizzards, which is good because without that ice, that it's possible that those blizzards could have completely wiped out my party, or at least taken out both of those mages, and then maybe just my fighter and monk would be left alive. Because they can do more than 100 each, and tanking 3 of them in a row would just be devastating. So that X-Ice fired off at the perfect time. They have some good defense, so even Sulla there, my well-leveled monk, was not doing massive damage to them and not hitting on all of his hits. We'll get the level up to 19 and see what we have in the chest. It is the ice armor. That's a notable piece of equipment that I have been waiting for. And I believe in the NES version it's also a protected piece of equipment, but I think I generally skip it because it's not worth risking going over there, especially if you're at a lower level. It's not worth risking going over there. So onward we go. And also in the NES version of this, on this floor, in the bottom left part of this floor, we have some treasure chests that are mostly just gold. They're just some money. And again, that's not worth going down and hunting for because you can just get totally taken out by what's down there. Here we just have more groups of these undead. I'm trying to note what kind of undead are which sprites. So I believe that in the NES version there are two main undead sprites. You have the humanoid sprite that is like the zombie ghoul looking things that are more humanoid looking, and then you have the ghost wraith specter kinds of undead that have the shrouded figures with the like the pointy hood. And so I'm thinking that the undead shapes that are like those ghostly flames are all of those enemies, and then the humanoid-shaped ones in this one are all the humanoid-shaped sprites from the NES game. I haven't seen that as a 100% rule, so that's not protected, but it's just a silver gauntlet, so it's kind of irrelevant for us. Something to sell for a little bit. So there's the 6 chests, and I believe that's roughly where they are in the NES version. There's the kill spell, but luckily he missed. And I know that this is a runnable battle because he got the surprise attack, and in this game, the way it's programmed, any battle that is either a surprise attack for you or for the enemies is a runnable battle. And unrunnable battles are impossible to get one of those sneak attacks. So I'm just checking to see if this is all gold. And hard to say if this was a trapped square or not, or if this is just a regularly scheduled random battle. Could be either. And I'm going to cast X Ice here because these guys, these Frost Wolves in the NES version, can indeed cast that Blizzard ability. And that's why I also went with Fire 3 there, because they could very easily take out my party if all 4 of them fired off their blizzards, or even 3 of them fired off blizzards in that first round before we got actions to take them out. So for me, it was worth burning up the Fire 3. So we'll continue on through this floor, and this is just like the regularly scheduled floor in the NES version. You go down one more floor, and on this floor you have a couple of pieces of treasure, a couple of holes, and then you also have another staircase, which is one of the game's few double exits. So it's an exit to the outside that is not the one you came in. So I am speculating that the exit I can see right there, or the door I can see right there, is an exit to the outside, not continuing on in the dungeon. That is my guess with this door, just based on having played the NES version. Because of the layout of this. In the NES version, this is a room, I believe. It's one of the rooms which were mostly taken out of this hack, and I'm not quite sure the reason why. It doesn't really change gameplay all that much. Yes, so indeed, this does take us to where the holes go in the NES version. The only thing that it does change taking out the rooms is that you can now see what's in the chambers without having to go into the door, so if anything, it's made it a little bit more player-friendly. This is the eye, which just goes by eye in the NES version. It was kind of thought to be, and has pretty much the consensus is that they were supposed to be beholders, which is a copyrighted property from the Dungeons & Dragons franchise. Luckily, I got a good turn order and took out the eye in just a couple of hits. Very lucrative battle. And here's our floater. So big experience and big gold, although it's not worth grinding on that fight for most people. And in this version, I don't think you can because it's a sprite-initiated encounter, whereas in the NES version, it is just a trapped square in front of that chest. So I believe that once that sprite goes away, I would not be able to fight the EvilEye over and over and over again. But the author of this hack chose, rather than to use the more beholder-looking sprite, which we saw in the Japanese version of this game, the author of this hack went with the sprite of the winged eye characters that look kind of like Sully from the Monsters, Inc. movie with wings, with bat wings. It was a monster type that I can't put my finger on what they're called in other Final Fantasy games, but they become a minor staple in the series. The large, one-eyed things with bat wings. Again, doesn't really matter. We have just a thing with a large eye that is protecting the floater. And that floater will get us the airship from the desert south of Crescent Lake. And indeed, that door does go to the outside. And as I step out to save the game, I get into a battle with werewolves and a couple of gray imps. So, yes, that door indeed did go to the outside. So that's one of the very few double exits that this game does provide you. It does not make you backtrack all the way through. It's actually impossible because you get to get down to that floor, you have to fall down those holes. So had I gone into that door before, I would have come out to the main entrance, of the ice cave, and had to have crawled the entire cave again. So I'm glad I did not test that door. I'm glad I trusted my instincts and waited. So that is the ice cave. Next time we are going to pick up the airship. We are going to class change, see the new sprites of our characters as they've been updated here in this hack, and we will go on to the waterfall, the sea shrine, the mirage tower, and forward. If you like these videos, be sure to give me the thumbs up, leave a comment, hit the subscribe button, and let me know what you think. I always love to hear from you. We will see you next time.